humans, and welcome to episode 21 of Chef Mike Does Stuff. First of all, very sorry for the delay in videos because, life, what are you gonna do? Secondly, thank you everybody for all the continued comments and ideas of what I should do in episodes. Today we are gonna do a dessert for the most part. I'll tell you why I decided to make this item in a minute. Third, make sure that you subscribe, like, share, hit the button like all you awesome people already do. And if you're a brand who wants me to use their item, their product, their equipment in my videos, feel free to email me at chefmikedoesstuff@gmail.com and we can talk about what you want to do. Other than that, I do have some awesome things I wish I could tell you that are going on behind the scenes. Not 100% sure if they're going to pan out, but if they do, it would be absolutely awesome, and I would not be able to hold on to telling you, but I probably have to because I'd get in trouble or whatever. So just so you know, if it does pan out, it'll be awesome. Anyway, let's get to the episode. So today I am going to make a honey bacon pie. I'm putting my R&D skills to the test because I've made somewhat similar items, but I have not adjusted the recipe like this before. So if it doesn't turn out, we're gonna learn together. So first, I was like, okay, what should I do for desserts? I actually like this dessert called shoe fly pie. Very old school recipe using molasses and like a streusel crumby topping. And it ends up being a little more like cakey than pie, but pretty delicious. So then I was sitting with the wifey and I was like, oh, what can I do to change it? What do you think about if I use like honey? So it'd be a honey pie. And I thought that was an awesome name. And she's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. However, she was like, well, it's becoming fall time, so why don't you do maple pie? And I was like, honey, this is why I married you, and this is why I love you. But then she said to me, how come you're not going to add bacon to it? And I was like, you just blew my mind. So I'm going to try to make what was going to be a shoe fly pie that I was going to convert into a honey pie, but now it's going to be a maple and bacon pie. I think it's going to be awesome. So let's go ahead and get to the cutting board. I'm going to assemble this bad boy. It's super easy. And no, I am not going to make my own pie crust today. We'll totally do that in a different episode. But you probably are not ready to make your own pie crust just yet. So go to the frozen dessert aisle, and usually they have pie shells there available for you to use, which is what I'm doing. I have made a variety of pie crust in my day, but since I'm really doing some R&D work and I already know I can make a pie crust, instead of worrying about all that stuff, I'm gonna save some time and use the pie crust in my freezer. So once again, let's get to the cutting board, and hopefully we are gonna make a delicious, awesome maple bacon pie. Alrighty, we are at the cutting board. The first thing we are gonna do is preheat our oven to 450 degrees, which I have already done. I'm going to turn the fan off while I'm talking, which I usually do, but I forgot to right now. And I could restart the video, but hey, we're all friends here, right? So I got the oven preheated to 450 degrees, and I put a sheet pan in the oven. This is going to be awesome because with using a pie crust, having that hot bottom in the oven, it's going to help get that bottom of the pie cooked appropriately. So that's a nice little tip. I also do that with reheating pizza. Put the pan in the oven so that when you put the pizza crust in the pan, it'll get nice and crispy like that. The second thing you're going to do is just put a little pan or a little pot with water on the stove and get that boiling, which I'm going to turn the pan up just a little bit. Or the pot. It's not a pan, it's a pot. What are you going to do? And that is boiling because we're going to need that in a little bit. So, like I said, I'm converting a shoe fly pie recipe into this maple and bacon pie. Hopefully it's awesome. First thing we're going to do is add 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour to the bowl. Super easy. All you people making bread right now, you might have bread flour, but if you got all-purpose flour, that's what we need there. 1/2 cup of dark brown sugar. Now, when you're measuring brown sugar, usually you pack it in really hard into your measuring cup. That's just a standard way of doing it to keep your measurements a little more even and accurate. That's just a little tip if you're doing that. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And if you've been following me on the old Soch, you know I just re-upped my entire spice cabinet. So I got all the brand new spices that you need readily available at my fingertips. Next thing we're going to do is add 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. Once again, this cinnamon and nutmeg is perfect for the fall. So this is going to be very much on-trend fall ingredient. And since although you may love it, since I don't like pumpkin spice or pumpkin anything, this would be a great replacement. However, I know there's lots of super fans out there. You do you, and I will do me. 1/8 teaspoon of salt. Now, I was going to remove the salt entirely, because I'm adding bacon and stuff to this, which is obviously salty. But then I'm also converting the molasses from molasses to maple syrup, and I think that's sweeter. So I'm going to leave the salt in there because if the pie is a lot sweeter, I am now able to add those salty ingredients, and it will balance out really nice. So that's pretty awesome. The next thing I'm going to do, I don't know how much. I made a whole pound of bacon. Cooked it. I obviously ate a bunch, and I'm not going to use all of this, but what I've right now decided to do, I'm going to use about this much. I think that'll be plenty. Because, and I'm going to chop it up, because now that I'm thinking about it, streusel topping is usually kind of crummy, fall apart, little pieces in there. If I add really big pieces of bacon, it might get a little chewy. Even though obviously you can hear that this is nice and crisp and cooked. Remember to reserve your bacon fat for a little bit later because I have another awesome idea, and that stuff is worth its weight in gold. But I'm going to chop this up, and I'm going to add it to our flour, to our dry ingredients, because basically this is cooked. There's no function to it. I just want it mixed in throughout that little streusel topping, so I get a nice bunch of bacon flavor. My preferred method of cooking bacon is in the oven, and I do prefer applewood smoked bacon, which is what this is. However, for this recipe, it's a little easier to save all that rendered bacon fat when you're just doing it in a pan on the stove, so that is how I did it. But if I'm making, let's say, bacon for burgers, if I'm snacking on bacon or bacon for breakfast, I usually always do it in the oven because I love the texture. It's crispy, but it's not super crispy. If you do it right, it's more that melt in your mouth deliciousness. All right. So I think that's pretty good. That's going to get us a lot of bacon flavor, as well as the magic I'm going to do with the bacon fat later. So let's see how much this is. I don't have a measuring cup next to me. I think maybe that's like a half cup, I'm going to estimate. Sure. Add that much bacon. You could add more, add less. You don't have to add bacon. You could do this fully vegetarian. So if you are going to do this recipe, you certainly can do a maple pie. Just don't do the bacon part of it. And I'm assuming it's going to be awesome and delicious, but who knows. Last thing I am going to do now is put my butter in. So I had some butter sitting out for that, first shot that I did, and with TV Magic, I put that one back in the fridge and took out this cold butter because this process is to use cold butter with this bad boy, the pastry cutter. I surprisingly did not have a pastry cutter, so I had to go out and buy one, and this is a nice cheap one that I feel like I might break right now, so we'll see what happens. But basically, if you are making, let's say, biscuits or some other type of pastry items, this is a tool a lot of people will use to cut fat. Oh yeah, I'm gonna break this bad boy. We'll see how long this lasts. Oh yeah, get off. To cut. Look at that. This thing is flimsy as heck. Go. Get off. Go. Okay. Now that we got it kind of working, it'll be all right. But basically, we are cutting this fat into the flour, and we're going to keep doing this until it kind of resembles sand. Very different than, let's say, if you are making croissants of some kind. So that's a laminated dough. So usually you're folding dough over and over again to get layers, and it'll be nice and flaky. If you're making something like biscuits, at least in the United States, your savory biscuits or even a scone. You would probably do it more this way. Different texture in the final product. It crumbles apart. This is, of course, just the streusel topping, so it's not necessarily going to rise or have the same crumb structure as, let's say, its biscuity counterpart. But this is a great thing to learn if you want to make awesome desserts. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. My house reeks of bacon, which is amazing. That applewood smells so good. I also have a little thing of bacon fat right here, which certainly isn't helping. And once again, if you are a fan of the bacon, whatever your recipe calls for, you're going to want to make about 3 or 4 times more because everybody is going to be eating the bacon. And then you won't have enough for your recipe. So plan accordingly. Looking good. I'm going to keep this going. So this pastry cutter, like I said, super cheap. Feel like I'm going to break it. Usually it's a little sharper edge on it. However, these are kind of round. It is recommended, even though I'm doing it right now. Look at how bent this is. Oh, man. I'm so strong. I feel so strong. Usually they're a little, let's say, sharper and more solid, so you're cutting it a little more. You could kind of tell with how the butter is looking here that it's just kind of mashing it together. But luckily for us, this is going to be a delicious streusel topping. And I don't care that much. It's going to be delicious no matter what. So there we go. Almost ready. Also, since I did add a bunch of bacon to this, I might not use this entire bowl to fill the pie because we added a bunch of ingredients to this. So now we have more topping than we would normally use. Okay. This looks pretty good. That's all I'm going to do. For the most part, looks like wet sand. And that's what we're looking for. Still a little bit of bigger pieces of butter, but what you going to do? I've said it before. This is not no Michelin star restaurant. We're just cooking for the fam. We're cooking for fun. I'm doing R&D work. So that's how we're going to rock. So this is ready to go. Put that off to the side. Next thing we're going to do. I don't worry too much about the cutting board because I'm not really using it for anything. So it's a little dirty. I don't care. 1 cup of real maple syrup. I would think this works a lot better than, kind of the maple syrup style things. So your cheaper type of syrup. So just use the real deal. It's a little more expensive, but delicious. Here's one of the things I'm going to do. I don't even know if it's going to work. This is bacon fat. I'm just going to add a little tiny bit, like that much. And I'm going to save this because I got another thing to do with the bacon fat. I need to grab a whisk. Do I got a cool pro whisk anywhere? Let's see what we got. Yeah, here we go. This makes me look professional. No, how about I use this cheap little plasticky one? Perfect. Another thing I should have just planned ahead. So this is syrup and bacon fat. Already magical. The next thing I'm going to do is add baking soda. Because this is all cold, I'm going to do this next part pretty quick, which is why I'm also going to grab my pie shell from the freezer, like so. Nice and cold and ready. Store-bought pie crust, because I don't care what you think. I know how to make pie crust already. I will teach you some other time. We've got that. And now we're going to get our boiling water too. I need to put this hot pot on something so that way it doesn't melt my countertops. Got that there. That handle is incredibly hot, so make sure you use a towel because it's been sitting on my stove for quite a while. Okay. Got my boiling water. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out, I believe it is 1 cup, half a cup of boiling water. I did reduce the amount of water from the original recipe because My syrup is a little more fluid than the molasses. So I'm deciding, you know what? I won't need as much water to kind of thin it out. But we'll see if that's a good choice. So this was super hot boiling water. This right here is a half teaspoon of baking soda. You're going to literally whisk that in. That is our leavening in this. This is incredibly fluid. I know that. However, this this is not shoe fly pie. This maple bacon pie, once you add the streusel topping to it, that kind of dissolves on the inside and makes it more pie-y, if you will. Okay, I've got the pie crust. I've got all that ready to rock. First thing we're going to do now is actually pour this right into the cold pie shell from the freezer. There's going to be a lot of topping. Another reason why you should use a pan in your oven is because there's a good chance this might kind of cook over the side. Now, here is a very tricky part. We're going to spoon. This looks like a lot. And let's say I've added about if I took a big spoonful of this out, that's really what the recipe calls for. I might not put the whole amount. We'll see what happens. Now, you just sprinkle over the top, like so. There's a bunch of buttery, bacony, sugary streusel right here. Oh, yeah. You're going to add a lot. It's going to mound over a little bit, which is what's supposed to happen. Like I said, it's going to get absorbed. A lot of the liquid that's on the bottom. Try to cover up all of the liquidy parts. That will help a little bit. There is a great possibility that some, might boil over a corner, so you're going to get a little bit of spotting on the outside. Doesn't matter. It's going to be delicious. Okay. And then my last idea. Yeah, I'll keep going. Here we go. Yes. I'm already very excited. Okay, so we got that. I am not going to use all of it. That seems like it's a pretty good amount. Okay, so I got like this much left over. Boom. Okay, my last idea. I've got the bacon fat here. What I'm going to do is drizzle the bacon fat over the top like this. Oh my gosh. Because I want more bacony flavor. I don't know why I'm whispering. This might make it a little design on the top. I don't know what's going to happen. That's probably more than enough. Here we go. Okay, so that is on the top. And just like that, the last thing we need to do is cook it till it's done. So I've got a 450 degree oven. I'm actually going to cook it for about 15 minutes at 450, and then I'm just going to turn the oven down to 350 degrees and probably bake for 20 more minutes. You're going to want to just make sure everything's really solid on the inside. It should be kind of a solid pie. It's not going to be like a fruit pie or anything where there's a lot of like liquid or jam on the inside, or like a pecan pie that's got caramely stuff. It should be relatively solid. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven, and hopefully it turns out and it's delicious. Maple bacon pie. As you can see, all that liquidy stuff has turned solid, just like a pie should. Looks delicious, smells amazing. Let me show you that's the inside of it. So it'll sink a little bit. It's still a little warm. I let this rest for maybe 45 minutes. I'm very excited to try this. What I would do, it's probably amazing with ice cream, but just a little whipped cream on the top. That's it. Here we go. Let's see if this turned out. Come on! Let's get a win! Little whipped cream on there. I've created an amazing monster. It's pretty sweet, but not actually as sweet as I thought it was going to be, even though there's a lot of sugar and a lot of syrup. Very mapley. Not over the top bacon, just enough amount of bacon in there to know it's there. You get a little smoky, a little salty from. This is outstanding pie. Wow! Baby, what do you think of the pie? She said it was so good if you didn't hear. This is your idea.
I know.
Yeah, she knows. You're so good. Oh my gosh. I'm going to make this a lot all the time. Maybe I'll do a honey one now too, because I'm intrigued at how that'll taste, because this maple one is fantastic. So basically, like I said, took a shoot fly pie recipe and changed it to a maple one. So if you are vegetarian, don't add the bacon. Maybe add a little more salt. Man, that is good. That's it. Do I got some on my face? No. So that's the end of the episode. But by all means, make whatever awesome pie you want. Change it up. Add different ingredients. Do the shoot fly version. Whatever. Maybe agave. Agave syrup would be awesome. You do regular corn syrup if you want to be boring, but I'm sure it would be delicious. Do awesome stuff. Get in the kitchen and cook. Post videos. And make sure to tag me. Once again, also like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. I think I said hit the button before. I'm going to see in edit if I actually did that. Let the people know how much you like me. Like, all the famous people you know, tag them. Be like, hey, you should check out Chef Mike. He's awesome. Do that for me. And maybe somebody famous will be like, yeah, he is pretty. Hey, stay on there. And then subscribe because I want you to follow me and I want to cook for you. If you're a brand, you got a product, you want to do something, chefmikedoesstuff@gmail.com. Or if you just want to email me questions or how awesome I am, or if I suck and you just like want to vent to me, do that too. But remember, most importantly, subscribe because you are not going to want to miss when Chef Mike does stuff. I'm going to eat a bunch of pie. Maple bacon pie. I think I just invented it. I don't think this exists anywhere. So please make it. Man, my R&D skills. I still got it. That is scrumptious.